Hello and welcome back to Mondo Musings. I'm your presenter, Nick Carter McLean. In today's commentary and a question, we spotlight the woman who was, arguably, the track and field personality of the year in 2021. Sha'Carri Richardson opened the last outdoor season with the rumbling roar of a lioness apparently ready to announce that she'd come of age on the world stage. Her sensational 10.72-second performance to win the 100-meter event at the Miramar Invitational by well over 3/10 from eventual Olympian Javian Oliver wasn't merely a new PB. It also marked the fastest time ever run by a female before the calendar had struck May in human history. And in typically effusive fashion, the gifted young American rightly gushed about her immediate future prospects during a post-race interview, stating in response to the question, "What does 1072 at this time say about your season?" that it meant her season was going to be unbelievable. Just under 5 months later, said campaign, which once threatened to shake up the existing Jamaica-dominated women's 100-meter order, quietly drew to a close at a relatively small meet in the northern Italian city of Padova. As it was in the beginning, the collegiate 100-meter record holder's American countrywoman Oliver was also there with her at the end, but this time in lockstep and victorious, as opposed to multiple meters down and outclassed as had been the case in their first matchup in Miramar. Now, while Richardson's season ultimately didn't hit the heights she and so many others obviously expected following her heroics in April, many of its defining moments certainly qualified as unbelievable. Topping this beggars belief bill was the young sprinter's positive test for marijuana at the U.S. Olympic trials in June, which came on the heels of a facile presumed victory in her pet event at historic Hayward Field. The invalidation of her trial results and a subsequent 1-month ban instantly put paid to any even remotely realistic expectations of the United States reclaiming the Olympic 100-meter crown, which has not been legitimately grasped by American hands since two-time Olympic 100-meter champ Gail Devers pipped Jamaica's Merlinati by the length of a lash at Atlanta 96. Following a Jamaican sweep that affirmed the status quo at Tokyo 2020, Richardson, the great American hope, was presented with the golden opportunity to give the world a glimpse of what possibly could have been in the Japanese capital at August's Prefontaine Classic. All bombast in the build-up, the 21-year-old sprinter sadly bombed when the time to put up rolled around, strolling home a surprising ninth in a pedestrian 11.14 seconds as Elaine Thompson-Herah, the Olympic champion in the event, streaked to the second fastest time in history as she fronted another Jamaican 1, 2, 3. Predictably, this subpar showing, which many took to define Richardson's season, instantly made her the muse of just about every meme maker with even a fleeting interest in the goings-on in the athletics world. This musing, though, actually revolves around another performance which, despite weighing 12 tons and trumpeting like a whole herd of agitated pachyderms, has somehow managed to remain the proverbial elephant in the room. On May 9th, about a month after her stunning 1072 in Florida, the former LSU Lady Tiger ran roughshod over another quality field, yet again featuring Miss Oliver at the USATF Golden Games, stopping the clock at 10.77 seconds into the teeth of a snarling 1.2 meter per second tempest. Assuming you're into wind and altitude adjustments as a means of somewhat equalizing these variables to allow for apples and pears comparisons of sprint times, which admittedly I am, this effort should rank right up there as one of the greatest women's 100-meter performances of all time. According to physicist Jonas Marika's 100-meter wind altitude adjustment calculator, Richardson's time against that type of headwind, and with the aid of Hilmer-Lod Stadium's approximately 222 meters of elevation, adjusts to about 1069 in still wind. Worming one's way further down into this rabbit hole reveals that only one active sprinter has ever produced a performance that's intrinsically faster than that 1077. That athlete, two-time Olympic champion Thompson-Herah, owns two, headed by her 1061 into a minus 0.6 meter per second headwind in Tokyo, which adjusts to 1057. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, the reigning 100-meter GOAT, also has an effort worth 1069 in still wind to her credit, in the form of her 1071 to win the world title in Moscow's Luzhniki Stadium in 2013. Her 1063 at Kingston's National Stadium, which made her history's second fastest woman for just under 2 months, was worth 1070. Tokyo third placer Shericka Jackson's personal best 1076 comes back at 1072, with further basic improvement likely if she can solidify her start as she gains more experience in the event. Plucky Ivorian speedster Marie-Josee is a further 400ths back, thanks to her blistering African record tying run of 1078 in her heat in Tokyo. Meanwhile, the UK's Dina Asher-Smith, who was slowed by injury in 2021, boasts a wind and altitude adjusted best of 1083, which she did for silver behind Fraser-Pryce at Worlds in 2019. Only 26, one imagines that there's still significant scope for Europe's current #1 sprinter to get even faster. Now, even if one thinks that wind and altitude adjustment models don't pass the smell test, there's no denying that Richardson's first 4 races in 2021 were about as visually impressive as one is ever likely to see. Her ability to separate from fields chock full of world-class sprinters over the last half was, positively, Elaine Thompson-Herah-esque. To see that type of talent in someone who doesn't turn 22 until March of 2022 was nothing short of awe-inspiring, or scary, depending on which side of the fence you happen to sit. Of course, she now has to prove that she possesses the requisite mental fortitude to produce her best when lined up against competitors who are above, on, or close to her level of talent. Now, I for one am willing to discount her much-memed performance in Eugene, considering the lengthy competitive layoff, public drama, and personal trauma she had to overcome in the lead-up. You've heard the commentary. Now, here's the question. Assuming that she's in the right physical and psychological space throughout 2022, does Sha'Carri Richardson's superlative speed spirit her onto the 100-meter podium at the World Championships in Eugene? Please leave your answers to this intriguing question in the comments section below, and let's get a conversation going around what's sure to be one of the most riveting storylines during the upcoming outdoor athletics season. Thanks as always for tuning in. Until next time, Godspeed.